Hey everyone, welcome to AlphaDelta, a video series on my YouTube channel where I have conversations with people who operate at a higher level than most, with the hopes that it inspires and motivates people to become the best version of themselves. So today, I'm joined by Dr. Elmi. Dr. Elmi is a good friend who I've known since high school, and he's done a bunch of amazing things in the medical space, across the world, locally. Elmi, I'm gonna give this opportunity to introduce yourself, to the viewers who've never met you before, who you are, just explain who you are, where you're from, what you do and what you do in school.
Okay, so my name's Dr. Elmi. I'm a pediatric surgeon. I'm a surgical resident at the moment. I went to school, so initially I went to school in the Netherlands, and then I moved to Kenya, and we went to the same high school, so I went to Braeside. And then thereafter I went to the University of Sussex to do my first undergraduate degree, and I studied biomedical sciences, and I got first class honors, of course.
Nice. Of course.
And then I went to Imperial College to do my MBBS. That's the medical degree. I did it graduate entry. And at the same time, whilst I was doing my MBBS, I ended up doing some entrepreneurial work. So I started 2 companies, which were basically content creation companies with a social aspect to it. And in that time, I learned a lot because I was going to school and running a business. And challenges happened. I'm originally from Nairobi, Kenya, and so I think I've answered your question.
Yeah. That was a pretty good synopsis about just who you are in general, and like what you've done and what you're doing and whatnot. So the first question I have for you is, what are you passionate about and why?
Okay, so I think passion changes over time.
Right.
I think as humans, our predilection for things shifts and it evolves, and I think that's like the best way to put it, because initially when I started my undergraduate degree, I wanted to do a PhD in biotechnology, and that's what I was passionate about. I was passionate about creating solutions to medical problems in a new light, using the current technology we have, and using AI and a lot of computer-based programming.
Right.
But then I ended up loving the front line, and so I'm really passionate about healthcare and medicine in general. And to be more specific, I'm more passionate about pediatric surgery. It's something that I gained a lot of respect for, because if you think about it, kids don't usually bring ailments to themselves. It's usually a product of the environment, it's usually congenital, it's usually something that happens to them, whereas in adults, a lot of the problems they have medically are self-inflicted. And so I thought it'd be best to go down the route of pediatric medicine. And so I initially started in obstetrics and gynecology. It was interesting.
That's quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
Okay, what is that? So for us guys who don't understand, what is that?
So I first started as a doctor who deals with pregnant women and women issues. So I don't know how to break it down. So obstetrics is the pregnancy part of women health, and gynecology is women's health.
Right.
And so I started there, didn't really like it. It was a lot more complicated than I thought going into it. And then I went into general surgery, and in general surgery I was doing a rotation in pediatric surgery, and I really fell in love with it because it was so different, because the environment that you're in and the ethos of the people who you're working with is so different. You end up having a respect for the kind of work that they do. And so I stayed in pediatric surgery, and yeah, I'm a resident now, and that's what I'm really passionate about. But I have other passions, so I'm an entrepreneur, I am a podcaster, I am a producer, and lately someone's been pushing me to try TikTok. So I'm also learning how to, edit videos and make capture attention in short time spans.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very nice. Very, very cool. Very cool. All right. So, taking a step back, what was your childhood like, right? What was growing up as Elmi? What was high school like for you? What do you spend a lot of your time doing?
Wow, loaded question.
Yeah, there's a lot to it to unpack. So, just take your time.
I'd like to think my childhood was, I think, in my experience, one of the best things that could have happened to me. My parents were both diplomats, so although we didn't see them like often in terms of like spend day-to-day times with them in like short I'm gonna redo that question.
Okay.
So my childhood was one of the best things that could have happened to me. I came from a very loving family. They pushed me to be the best version of myself. They created an environment where I could do what I needed to do and be who I wanted to be and pursue the things that I was passionate about, and supported me through it. My parents were both diplomats, so they were off on missions a lot of the time, and it was this appreciation for doing good for others that really made me want to go into like biotechnology and science and the medical profession. I grew up in many countries, so I grew up in different countries around the world before I moved to Kenya. So that taught me how to become friends with people really easily, how to relate to people quite quickly, how to adapt to situations easily as well. And high school was interesting. I started off as, part of the, what do they call it, student council. So I was in student council till year 10, so I was my year representative. And so I took on a leadership role very quickly. I then was also involved in MUN, so I was a junior chair, and so I was really involved in it.
You were probably my junior chair at one point, I think.
Yeah,
MUN.
So MUN was a big part, and then President's Award. So I was the youngest ever gold recipient of the President's Award. Yes. So when we went to State House, I made a speech. They gave me my thing, like my medal or whatever, and it was interesting. So I was very involved in co-curricular activities, but that didn't mean that I slacked off in my academics. So I was always top of my class, and it was interesting to think that you could do so much with the limited time we had in school. But by the time I was in year 11, I was head boy, and I don't want to. If you're watching this and you're a brace head, please don't take it the wrong way. But the head girl I was working with, Wendy, her and I basically run the school at that time.
I remember that. Nah, you guys are a boss ass team, I can't lie.
We did a lot.
You guys are a boss team. I told you this before offline, right? I used to really look up to you guys a lot. And even just part of like my own like journey through Brace was very inspired by you.
Oh wow.
Watching you do and the things you're achieving. So you're one of like the people I used to look up to a lot for sure.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah. So anyway, carry on.
Okay. So high school was good to me. And so it was like this mixture of different experiences from different cultures and different things that I did that really shaped me to be who I was. And I think that's why when I joined uni when I was 16. So when you hear I'm a surgeon and I'm 26, it's not, like, I'm always the youngest surgeon in the room. People always like, oh, so are you here learning?
Are you an intern?
And are you an intern? And I'm like, actually the board says
doctor, put some respect.
Put some respect on my name.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my childhood. It was filled with a lot of experiences and a lot of love. Although my parents were busy, they always made time for us. And we built a lot of core memories together, traveling, and sometimes like one of the most prominent memories, or how can I say that better? One of the most significant moments in my upbringing, thank you, was my dad used to take us in our yard. He would draw like a line around the thing and we would use it like a track, and we would like ride bikes together with my middle brother. My youngest brother wasn't born at the time. And that was like the highlight of my week at the end of the week. It sounds so simple and it sounds like nothing.
Yeah, but it's those little things that really make a huge difference.
Yeah, like he worked very long hours, he used to travel a lot, but he still made time for us, and I think I had a very rich childhood.
Yeah, interesting. Now that sounds awesome, man. I'm learning a lot about you for sure. Yeah, so walk us through how you got to where you are today. Tell us a bit about your career path. What are some of the things you've done? What are some of the things you've achieved?
Okay, so my career path, it was a bit different. So as I said, I wanted to go into medicine, but when I went into it, and so I did an internship before I went to college, so I did like a summer program at Columbia.
Nice.
And it like opened my eyes to different facets of medicine. And it was like I didn't have to be a doctor to make impact. And most of the impact really comes from scientific research, it comes from biotechnology, it comes from drug delivery systems, and like the scientific part of creating medications and therapies. And so I really wanted to do that, so I applied to Sussex Uni. At the time it was fourth in the world for sciences. And so I really liked the work that we're doing and all that stuff. So I ended up working on my research project, my dissertation, in my final year of my first undergraduate degree, and it was based on this. Okay, so how can I break it down? I'll try and break it down as much as I can.
Yeah, as simple as possible for.
So it's called, okay. But so there's this pathogen called Bacillus thuringiensis, which is found in soil. And usually it is something that causes disease in like maize, in agricultural sectors.
Right.
And so luckily, the guy the lab that I worked in, it's called the Crickmore lab. You can search it, and I'll also send you the paper. You can, put it on
or something, right?
So the guy I was working with was called Dr. Neil Crickmore. He's known as the godfather of BT, so Bacillus thuringiensis.
Interesting.
And so I worked in his lab, and my role was to try and prove a hypothesis that so you know how DNA has a certain structure, and so when it folds, you activate the way in which that works. So the protein folding of this Bacillus thuringiensis genome was what was giving it activation to be able to kill these pests that were in, these foods in the field. So Bacillus thuringiensis has a protein called a cry-protein. It's a crystalline structure protein. And so what we were working with is cry2. This sounds a bit technical.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it as simple as possible.
Right.
So what we were trying to do is it has several domains, and the first domain folds back on itself, and that's what makes it activate and be poisonous, or activates to kill, the pest. So my role in that, my hypothesis was, if we were to change the first 27 amino acids, would it be able to have the same effect? So I did a lot of work on that. I made models, I made recombinant proteins, I created a new protein called cry2AC, which was different to what was being studied.
Interesting.
And that ended up getting my paper to be published. So I published my first academic article in the Journal of Invertebrate Pathology. And then I realized it takes almost 5 years to clear. So my research was in 2015, but the paper hadn't been published till 2020.
Wow. Really?
So there's so much backlog and bureaucracy that I was just like, if I'm going to make an impact, this is not the way I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm still young. I finished uni when I was like 19, 20.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so I was like,
really
I
young.
can still,
Really young.
I can still go back to school. So I did a graduate entry MBBS. So that was 4 years. And at that time I was building my company, as I said. And so my career path then changed from being behind the scenes to actually being in the front line.
Right.
So yeah, that's what really shaped my career path, and it was learning that maybe not all things that you're really attracted to or you want to achieve is feasible in the way you imagine it. Like the things that no one tells you about, the hidden things that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to be in the front line making decisions that will work immediately.
Immediately, for sure.
So yeah, that's what inspired me.
Nice. I love how very intentional you've been about your career. I love how you're also able to adapt and see for yourself what's working and what's not, and quickly shift to things that you're more passionate about throughout your period of time. My next question is, what has been a pivotal moment in your career, in your life, that has shaped your career?
So we basically kind of answered that question, but like the most pivotal moment.
Different, follow-up is that, what has been your greatest achievement in your career so far?
It was definitely publishing a paper.
Okay.
Not many people publish papers as undergraduates. And I was the only one in the entire Crickmore lab who was under the age of 20, or even under the age of 30 rather, who published a paper. And it was my work that has now furthered research into that field. And so there's a lot more going on, like more research is going into this topic, and it's being used in things like subtropical fevers, like dengue fever, West Nile fever, Zika virus, and it's based exactly on literally the work that I did. And I think that for me was so impactful. Although it happened 5 years after I published my dissertation, it really made me think that, you're opening more doors for things to be challenged in a new light. Because the way I approached my research was, I didn't just go to literature. I used computer learning models.
Nice.
I used this program called Chimera to try and see the interactions between different amino acids and different species of that protein.
Right.
And that was, I think, the biggest moment in my career so far that I think has really shaped my idea of what I can be able to do. So hopefully, once I become a consultant in a few years,
right.
I could go back into research and look at the different ways we could be able to tackle medical issues or develop new surgical techniques, because it's all about improving, surgical techniques for the future.
Right.
Like
championing the next generation.
Exactly, and also like embracing technology as a means to further the goals of treatment.
Right.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Wow, very cool, bro. Very cool. I mean, that's a huge achievement. It's like you said, like not a lot of under 30-year-olds publish papers in the medical space, right?
Yeah.
That's a big deal, man. So kudos for that, for sure.
Yes.
So my next question is like, what has been the biggest challenge you ever had in your life, and how did you overcome it?
Wow. Loaded question. So I'm gonna be a little deep right now. And so in my first undergraduate degree, I was diagnosed. So I was the pressure of like trying to get first class in every subject that I did, working myself almost to the point of insanity. So I would usually be sleeping only 4 hours a night. I'd be reading almost all the time, going to lectures, doing all this stuff. It all culminated into this like really bad situation whereby I had no motivation to do anything. I never left my house. Like for 1 month, I literally used to just deliver things to my door. I never left my apartment.
Right.
Never had human contact out of that. I literally just was in this really bad space. So I eventually had to go to the hospital, and I was diagnosed with clinical depression. And that was easily the lowest point in my life. And then learning how to overcome it was even harder, because I don't trust people easily. I don't think many people trust people easily.
Naturally.
So I had to go to therapy, and at first I was like, this woman is asking too many questions.
Right. They always want to dig.
They ask a question and they make it seem like your whole entire life is about this thing, and they try and connect like, oh, you used to use a pacifier as a kid. How are your abandonment issues?
Literally, it's like, what? Pacify abandonment?
Like, where did that come from? So it was really hard for me to trust her, but eventually we built some trust, and I started getting help. I went on antidepressants for a long time, and it was really difficult, but I had to do the work. Like, sometimes people they want everything to work out, but you don't want to do the work. You have to, do the work. Go to therapy, do self-improvement, like things, reflect on your past, and also don't dwell on it too much. Give yourself some grace. Move forward from whatever that has been holding you back for whatever period of time. It's such a complex set of principles that you have to follow that I think is pivotal to your recovery. And now I'm okay. I deal with human beings. At some point I never wanted to see a person. So it was the hardest time, and overcoming it was even harder.
Yeah.
But with exercise, good nutrition, support, and having a good support system, especially,
Yeah, for sure.
was the key to getting out of that funk. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really resonate with that because, I mean, just like you, I also suffered mentally. Just last year, actually, I had a mental breakdown, and very similar to you, like I was not in a good space mentally. Had to go through therapy, take meds, and I was very lucky that I had a very strong supportive system around me. I feel like that was like the biggest key, and then to mention someone specific, my mom, like yo. There's nothing like I would do for that woman because she really held me down, like in ways that, like today, I'll just be forever grateful, like for her because of that. So like, yeah, like it's tough, and like with guys, like when we suffer through mental health things, like we don't really talk about it as much, and like it can go to extreme cases to the point of where people like commit suicide because of it, and like I'm glad that you brought up like how you suffered, and that naturally just made me feel like I should also share. Just because like whoever's watching this to realize that even people like Elmi who are operating at the higher level, like we still were able to be succumbed and suffer from like
it's real.
Yeah, and that's probably like the mental challenge, like mental health issues are probably the biggest challenges anyone can ever face, because there's no book, there's no guide on how you can overcome it, and everyone's different, like how you suffer, because it's a combination of you could have childhood traumas that are affecting you, right, or recent situations, or like maybe it's an effect or an impact from some certain stimulus like drugs or alcohol. Like there's different areas where it can affect you, right? And that's why I said like everyone's different, and there's no rule book on how you can achieve it. But like you said, getting therapy, like if you can afford it, like I know therapy is not the most affordable thing for most people, but if you can, like go see a therapist, or at least if you have a friend who's willing to listen, just have that open dialogue with them about what you're suffering with. And I think it's really important for like everyone, specifically men as well, to just have genuine and authentic conversations with the people you care about. When you're feeling when you're suffering, like tell your friends about it. If they really support you, they're really your friends like that, they will advise you, they will guide you, they will try to help you in some way.
They'll be there.
They'll be there for you, and if they can't, they'll probably recommend therapy, and that's not a bad thing, right? You shouldn't take offense. That just goes to show that they're not in a place mentally to be able to help you. So sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the thing we don't realize is if I have a broken leg, I'm going to an orthopedic surgeon. Mental health is the same thing. When you're suffering mentally, you go and see a psychiatrist or a therapist. If you can afford it, please go and do it. But most importantly, you need to be able to realize that this is an actual illness. Treat yourself like you're sick. Like take some time off, speak to the right people, and also have that willingness to want to be helped. Because sometimes you are so closed off, you don't want to talk to nobody, and I know it's difficult in those moments, but you need to find the right people to confide in. You need to find the right people who will be able to listen and advise you. But most importantly, as men, this thing is swept under the rug so often. And it's like, oh, you're a man, like, man up. And the thing is that we do suffer as well, and men have the highest rate of suicide out of everyone, and that is because of this culture that has been created based off of this I don't want to call it toxic masculinity.
But I was just gonna say something. I don't want to call it that, but for lack of a better term,
it really is that.
No, I agree with 100%. And like guys need to understand, right? It's not weak to admit that you have mental problems, like that you're dealing with something that is crippling you, right, mentally. And like, in fact, I think it's strong that you can recognize that you do have an issue and you need help.
Yeah.
That takes nothing from your masculinity at all. I think that's probably the most masculine thing you can do.
You can do
as
exactly.
a man. It's just
take charge.
Exactly, taking charge, taking ownership of your
Yes.
mental health, right? It's such an important thing, and I encourage all guys out there, with your homies and your boys, right? Like, just try to have, if you're not feeling good, just try to have genuine and authentic conversations with them about what you're dealing with, and just try to cultivate that relationship and that culture of being very open about the things that you're suffering.
That you're suffering from, yeah. And open, honest dialogue is really the key to it.
100%. I agree. Cool. So, what advice would you give someone who's trying to achieve the same things you were trying to do?
My number one thing that I tell everybody, and I get invited to go speak to schools, and I speak to at university, like my alma mater. There's these talks I do and all that kind of stuff. And the number one thing I'm going to tell everybody is don't dream blindly. You have a dream, work towards it. Make sure you have the facets required. Make sure you have put in the work that is required of you. Don't just say, oh, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z and sit on your ass. It's not gonna come. And I'm a religious person. I believe in God and stuff, but you need, even if you pray to God for something to happen, you need to still do the work and then pray to God to help make it easier for you.
Yeah.
But you need to work. Don't dream blindly.
Yeah.
Don't go into situations thinking, oh, it's all gonna work out in the end if I keep having manifestation and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't work like that. You need to get on it and make sure you are, doing what is necessary to get to where you need to get to.
No, I 100% resonate with that. A dream without a plan or a goal without a plan is just an idea. Right? It's just literally and manifestations, there's nothing wrong with that, but just still need a plan.
Exactly.
You still need
you
a plan,
need to get
right? You need a direction. You need to think about, okay, say you're trying to, run a 5K marathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to be like, all right, so what's my plan? Every single day for 1 hour, or every single day I'm gonna run 4 miles. That's a good plan. And then you say within a month I'll review, maybe I'll now make it 8 miles for the next month, right? That's a plan in place, right? Or with the hopes of trying to achieve this 5K marathon, right? So plans are so crucial. It's more than even the goal.
It is more
than the goal, actually, because there's this I remember reading once, there's this theory that basically the book was describing how you have 2 coaches of basketball teams, right? One has the goal of becoming a championship team at the end of the season. The other has the goal of making sure that his team performs the best every single day, right? Who's more likely to become a champion?
The guy who's trying to achieve it every single day.
Exactly. So it's the plan. So you could have a plan, but regardless of the goal, you'd still be able to achieve the outcome, the desired outcome. You might not have the intention of I want to be a championship team at the end of the season, but by the fact that on a day-to-day or a weekly basis or a month, you're accumulating these wins, you're literally doing the work every single day, you'll just naturally start moving towards that direction.
Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So my next question is, where are you heading to? What are you hoping to accomplish in the next couple of years?
Wow. Well, in all honesty, I'm working towards becoming a consultant. So once I finish my residency, I would love to be a consultant, and then thereafter I want to do my fellowship. So I'm putting in the work now so that I can be able to get to where I need to get to. So I work most days 12 hours, but I will still read 3 or 4 hours in the evening or early in the morning.
So 15 hours.
So and also learning now, like from my mistakes in college, or sorry, university, I never used to rest enough. And if you don't rest enough, you don't perform at your best. So resting is also another big important thing, but working towards becoming a consultant, and then later on look into doing a fellowship. I want to start my own practice, but I think first I need to be able to, make a name for myself. Because that's how you build a client list, that's how you build best practices, that's how you do what is necessary for you to be able to get to, as we said, your goal.
Right.
But then there's also the other part of me which loves to create podcasts. I love producing podcasts.
Right.
So hopefully I'm going to create, like a podcast platform or podcast creation company, to be more precise, and amplify African voices. Like, I don't think there is a network that is doing that right now, which is doing it in a good way for Africans, by Africans.
Right.
And I think, that's something I'm working towards. But yeah, my trajectory looks promising at the moment.
Very much.
Knock on wood. But yeah, so I think working towards my goals at the moment is the biggest is my biggest priority, I'd say.
Awesome. That's very cool. I mean, I can definitely see that for you, consulting, podcast company that's amplifying different African voices and everything.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Do you practice self-improvement? And if you do, what do you do?
Okay, so I said I'm religious, so I pray 5 times a day, and that is my time to meditate and connect with God. I really do believe in it because for 5-10 minutes, I'm doing nothing but connecting with a higher power who's, aligning me with my goals, with my vision, with all that, and it's time to meditate. I also meditate in the morning, so after Fajr prayer, which is the first prayer of the day, I meditate for like 20 minutes, just literally taking a little bit of time to myself. It may not look like it now, but I go to the gym. So I go to the gym before work on like three days of the week, and 4 days of the week I go to the gym after work because of how my surgeries are scheduled.
Okay. So does that mean you gym every day, or?
No, I gym 3 times a week, then 1 day off, then three times a week. So like push-pull legs, then rest, then push-pull legs.
Okay, makes sense.
And then also like, not a shout out, but I take my nutrition very seriously. So shout out to Reflex Nutrition.
Plug them right in.
Sponsor my boy.
Holler at me. Please sponsor me.
Actually, he would be. Can you see his physique? He'd be a good guy. So nutrition is also very important to me because in what I've learned when I came back to Kenya, in the Kenyan operating theaters, the culture in operating theaters is you do one surgery, you go and have tea. You do another surgery, you go have tea. And I don't subscribe to that because it's like, and it's not only, you're not only having the drink, there's snacks as well that are being brought throughout the day. And literally, you're just describing what comes into my OR. And I don't so trying to stay away from that, I have this complete diet protein, which I use as a supplement for a meal replacement once a day, and then my protein shake. So trying to get a pound or a pound and a half of protein per pound of body weight. So I think that, and I read books right now. I'm reading The Power of Habit.
Oh, Nice. Nice.
I've read all the Robert Greene books when
powerful series.
yeah, so like you cut this up.
Yeah.
So I think self-improvement is really important, but also like again with therapy, once a month my therapist does a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Right.
We do a SWOT analysis of my life.
Oh,
and
interesting.
so we look at in that month what are my strengths.
No fucking way. You just lost internet.
I can't believe the audio is going to be.
We're doing your best. Press through it and say please. Sorry for killing your flow, my guy.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think we just like lost power. I think the power went up and just came back.
Yeah, no, that was the sound.
Yeah,
and I was like,
went
what
off, came back
happened?
on. Yeah, that's probably what just happened. Living in Africa, eh?
Oh my days, this is not even close to. When I lived in Russia, it was even worse.
It's still recording though. It really was worse in Russia.
Yeah, sometimes you just lose power through the day.
Yeah.
It's mad.
You were talking about therapy.
Oh yeah, so in therapy we do a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and we look at the month that we've had, and identify the strengths that I've been able to cultivate, and then look at the weaknesses that I have in that month, or through my therapist writes down everything, and then do like what opportunities and the threats. And that is a way to keep myself accountable throughout my time in therapy, because it's so important for me to be able to improve as I go along, because it's you want to always be okay. I'll preface this by saying I'm my only competition. So if I'm better than who I was yesterday, then I'm already winning.
You're already winning.
So those are that's how I try and that's how I am trying to improve myself day by day.
Nice. So with that, what is one area of your life you feel you could improve on?
I think there's a couple. I'll start with time management. Because I'm still a resident, I don't get to dictate the hours I work.
Right.
So I'm trying to work as much as I can to be able to leverage some power at the negotiation table.
Right.
So that I could be like, I would like to, have this and this time, so I could prioritize my health and fitness.
Yeah.
Because maybe you can put a picture up. I was like 12% body fat.
Yeah.
I was like lean and going to the gym every day, not missing my macros, hitting them precisely, and all that. And I think my nutrition and what's it called? My nutrition and weightlifting, I think is where I could improve on, because by the time I get to the gym, I'm already exhausted. No pre-workout can save me.
Yeah, stuff.
Like I try and
mentally
take.
drained. It's
I used to love going to the gym at 5 when they open.
Yeah.
But then now my surgery starts at 5.
Oh.
So it ends up being like you can't really go to the gym first, then go to work, which is different to my last job where I used to go to the gym in the morning, then go to work, and I have my time to do my thing.
Yeah.
But I think with my plan in place, I could be able to negotiate something in the near future. but yeah, I just want to work on that, and I think it's important for me to take control over my health and fitness.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's so crucial to just anyone performing at a very high level. Like, you need your health and fitness in check.
Yeah.
Because that's literally your support.
It literally is.
And it also powers you to just go out there and grind and just like,
do your best.
Do your best, right? You know, when your health and your fitness is in check, like there's nothing you can't do.
Literally.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
Honestly. Yeah, so next set of questions are going to be a bit more personal.
Oh.
The first question I have for you is, what is being a man to you?
So interestingly, I think our idea or perception of being a man or how to be a man in this world is initiated at such a young age. You have these things that are indoctrinated into us as kids, and having my dad teach us basic things, like how to change tires or whatever. But others, like you have hard power and soft power.
Yeah.
So like the soft skills of being a man would be, for me, in my own words or in my interpretation of it, is to be dependable, is to be to honor your word, to be there for the ones you love and creating time and space for them. But also, most importantly, is to create a safe environment for absolutely everyone, especially the women in your life. I think those are the cornerstones of being a man to me, is just being able to attack the day knowing that you have these tenets behind you. But like, I don't subscribe to the stereotypical ideology of what TV and film have taught us as, you need to be in the face of everybody and, flexing your muscles and trying to do all these things that will show out or
to prove that you're
manly enough. There's so much more to it. It's so complex. Exactly.
I agree 100%. There's a lot we can get into. There's a lot to unpack from that for sure. But I guess the next question I have for you is, how do you navigate life as this said man? And it would also be interesting to get your perspective as a Muslim man.
So, before we talk about being a Muslim man, I'd talk about being a black man.
Interesting.
So,
that's a place to start. Yeah, for sure.
Growing up, when I grew up in other countries, like in Europe, we never had that. We weren't exposed to circles where our color was a defining factor. Again, so when you're with diplomats, the circles that you're running in, to them, color means nothing, and it's less of a thing to, like, it's less important in those spheres of those doors and in those worlds, But as soon as I moved to the UK, the first thing I realized was I'm black and I am a man, and to many people that was dangerous. So the first time I noticed it, I was in a store. I won't mention your name, but like I was in a store and I was buying a winter coat, and the whole time the person who was following me around the shop was another black man, and there was plenty of other like non-black or non-persons of color in the shop, and no one was following them. So I deliberately stopped, looked at him, and then asked, "Can I help you?" And the guy goes, "No, I was just trying to see if you needed help." And I was like, "Okay. How many other people are there in here? Do they also need help?
Yeah.
Why don't you help them?" And it was the very first time. So I never realized that my color was defining of who I was. And then it ended up being like, if you're in a train carriage or if you're on the tube and you're the only like person in the tube that's black, no one will come and sit next to you. And people will clutch their purses.
Right.
And like I could buy you and all your
whatever, your whole family, your whole clan, essentially your ancestry. Done.
Like I don't even need to think twice about it. But you're clutching your purse at me because you think I'm scary. And I never understood that. And I think it was so pivotal for me to be able to understand that navigating life as a black man was going to be more challenging than I thought. But then again, now going a level deeper, being a black Muslim man,
that's like
it's another even crazier layer because before I used to travel with like a diplomatic passport, so no one would like ask you questions. But now when you travel with a civilian passport, you're always being randomly selected for searches, and then when you apply to like jobs, they speak to you on the phone and they're like, "Oh, your English is so good," and you're like, "Did you expect me to speak like a bush man?"
All the time, like
what? They're like, you don't have an accent. I was like, that's not a compliment. And I probably lost a lot more opportunities, but I had to stand up for other people who would come after me like myself.
Of course.
And then, for example, like right now where I work, I'm the only Muslim man who works in that theater, and learning like when I'm taking ablution, which is called wudu, like cleaning myself before I pray, everyone is always like, "Why are you washing your whole body and if you can use the showers?" Or I'm like, "Bro, don't worry too much.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it." But and it's so difficult navigating life like that because there's always this preconceived notion that you are a terrorist or you have links to terrorism or you've been indoctrinated into this way of thinking that is completely dangerous, or like you're not legitimately Kenyan enough, and that's another thing we could talk about for hours is trying to prove that I'm Kenyan enough.
In Kenya,
it's been very difficult, but so it's a very multi-layered conversation to have.
For sure.
And we could be here for hours.
Yeah, likewise, because I definitely have similar experiences with you, like having been abroad, even being in Kenya, and just like you said, not being seen as being Kenyan enough. There's that whole perspective to it. So it's we could be here for hours essentially about it. But I mean, dudes, we're coming to the end of this interview. Thank you so much for just taking the time.
No, it's always lovely chatting with you, Joe.
For sure. I really enjoyed this conversation. Just getting to learn more about you, for sure. Do you have any questions for me?
I just wanted, I don't know, I thought about this yesterday and the day before yesterday. But what is next for Joe? I have two questions. What is coming up for Joe?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, I'm building this YouTube channel. I have a coaching business again, sign up for my coaching classes.
Yeah, you better.
So, it's just growing that. I've talked to a lot of the people I've interviewed and I joke around about this series, but I envision this being like a Netflix special at some point, you know, like some David Letterman thing or something.
Definitely.
So like that's sort of like in my mind I'm like, yeah, it would be nice, it would be really cool if you get to that level. So yeah, that's for this series. And then, you know, just growing the business, you know, building that entrepreneurial lifestyle, you know, chasing financial freedom. I want to travel a lot, so hopefully with this type of business I'm developing, like it will allow me to do those things because I can basically work from anywhere in the world, right? I'm not tied to a specific location, right? So, you know, it's just growing all those different things. I have a lot of goals which I can show you offline, and just working towards achieving them.
Wow. Of course you'd have such a good answer. It's Joe, come on. My second question is...
I appreciate that, bro.
Do you have a 5-year plan?
I do have a 10-year plan.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 10-year plan.
Do you want to divulge it to the entire internet?
Sign up for my coaching classes and I'll tell you. I might. I've actually really thought about this. I mean, I'm thinking that in a couple of months I might do a live Q&A.
Okay.
Right? And then someone asks me like, oh, what are your 10-year goals? And I'll just like pull up the screen and I'll just show it to everyone. Yeah. And then just get feedback on that. So I won't divulge it now, but you know, stay tuned. You might see it in the future for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. No, but it was really good talking to you. It's always good talking to you.
I appreciate it. Likewise for sure.
This is always like, I always come out of it knowing more, feeling like I've had like a bit of, I don't know how to say it, like discourse that is engaging and useful and productive.
Right, for
sure. So I'm really appreciative. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm glad you could make the time. I appreciate you coming on for sure.
No worries.
In my teeny tiny channel, but you know.
We're envisioning big things for you.
I appreciate that. Likewise. So the last thing is there anything you want to plug for, you know, like where can people find you and connect?
Okay.
Yeah.
So on podcasting services, wherever you get your podcasts, search L-ME space SPEAKS, so Elmi Speaks. On Instagram and Twitter, I think, you can find me at Elmi Speaks, so LMESPEAKS. And on TikTok, you can find me at the Elmi Speaks. By now, you should know the spelling of that. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm easy to find.
For sure, and I'll leave all the links in the description of this video. Post probably put your Instagram there, TikTok, LinkedIn as well, all that good stuff. So you know, thanks so much again.
No worries.
Guys, this has been AlphaDelta with my guest here, Dr. Elmi. And you know, we really hope that this episode was inspiring to some degree and motivated some of you to, you know, become the best version of yourselves at whatever you're trying to pursue. With that being said, I do offer coaching services for self-improvement. You know, if you want to level up in your health and fitness, in your business and finances, or any dating relationships, I'll leave all the links to my programs right below this video. So yeah, Elmi, this has been fun.
Yes, it has been.
And you know, from us, peace.
Take care.